What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to go over the cryptids of Oklahoma. So it's Cryptid Saturday, like you guys already know, and please, real quick, before we get going on this video, what I would like for you guys to do is pause this video, go down to the comments below, and let me know, are you guys from Oklahoma? Do you know any cryptids from Oklahoma? And while you're down there, guys, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you never miss another video from me. And that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get into this Cryptid Saturday's Cryptids of Oklahoma. I always like to say, guys, I don't own the rights to any of these articles. I just use them to push along information. There actually have information coming out of two particular articles today. This one is from blogscience.america.com, and the next one is sasquatchchronicles.com. Please go over to these two places and show them some love. The Oklahoma octopus. Tulsa, Oklahoma, as the rate of unexplained drownings death has reportedly crept up in Oklahoma's placid lakes, some observers have turned to an unusual explanation: a freshwater octopus. The legend of the killer cephalopod lurking in the murky waters of the state's lakes, Thunderbird, Lake Tenclear, and Lake Oolaga, has been surfacing for at least the past several years. Animal Planet's Lost Tapes even aired in investigation of this crypto creature. Okay, sorry, I just gotta backtrack. Lost Tapes is not a documentary whatsoever. It is, they take cryptid lore, they put random people into it, and they just make like a pseudo horror show out of it. So, if you want to learn what cryptids are out there, it's kind of good. But I wouldn't call it any version of a documentary or anything like that, or even an investigation. Really, it's not. This beast, dubbed the Oklahoma octopus, reportedly drags swimmers down with its many strong arms. How could a sea creature have found its way through lakes in the heartland? This unlikely animal, people have explained, might be a rare living fossil left over from the times tens of millions of years ago, when this part of the country was indeed a shallow sea and a perfect octopus habitat. However, over the millennia, this particular line of octopuses has adapted to fresh water. These proponents suggest the octopus is a marvel of adaptation, thanks in large part to its short generation time, just months to a year, and its thousands upon thousands of offspring. In its hundreds of millions of years on this planet, the octopus has managed to populate just about every corner, crevice, and water column of the seas, from the warm shallows of the tropics to the deep, frigid waters of the coast of Atlantic. It can even occasionally walk on land for short periods of time. Could the octopus conceivably adapt to freshwater as well? Bolstering the case for the Oklahoma octopus, some species of this animal are found in the brackish mouths of large rivers, but this theory has some big holes. First, a shift to entirely fresh water would require some extra changes in its physiology, including the basic ion transport in their cells. No cephalopod has been known to make this whole transition. Second, most Oklahoma's many lakes, including those in question, were constructed in the mid-20th century as engineering projects by damming local rivers, and a river octopus would have to have adapted to freshwater at some point, made its way up the Mississippi and subsequent smaller rivers, swimming upstream and navigating numerous dams. I'm gonna have to let my dog in. Hey Luna, come on. Hey baby, you guys want to see my puppy? There she is. Unlike even Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster, the Oklahoma octopus has granted no photographic clues, no matter how blurry or improbable. Nevertheless, its absence does leave the reported rise in drownings and deaths unexplained, except by a few folks who prefer that giant catfish are to blame. I'm just going to come out and say it. One, I live in Oklahoma. I swam in at least one of these lakes, and there ain't no octopus in Oklahoma, guys. It is not possible. I mean, you could blame drownings on people being dumb, people not paying attention to their kids, people just, being drunk and falling off of boats. I will even give you a big catfish, because people do go noodling here. A big catfish might have drowned, but there ain't no octopus in Oklahoma, and this is based purely off of just speculation. Like, no one, they didn't say anywhere that anyone had even seen it, and there's no photographic evidence. There's no like history. Yeah, okay, we were in the inland sea so long ago, but like, yeah, I just, there's no way. I can't even say, like, based off the sightings, this is what it might be, because quite frankly, there weren't any sightings. This is just some people going, oh, there may be an octopus living here. This is the reason why. It's a Lazarus species from back when this was an ocean, and now it's just adapted to rivers and fresh water, and then we dammed with the rivers and made lakes. Now they can't escape, and it's just no. I'm sorry, guys. This one is just a no for me. The Green Hill Monster. This story is as best as I can remember it. I will only use initials of persons involved, but there were several persons involved at the time. You can take this story / report however you feel. In the fall of 1971, while I was in high school, it was close to the high school football homecoming because several of the students were at Dresser's Ranch Barn preparing a homecoming float. When several members of the Talihina, Oklahoma high school football team drove up to the barn yelling and screaming that they had been seeing something in the woods on Green Hill Road. They even said that whatever it was bigger than a ES and had grabbed him while he was in the woods using the bathroom. ES was a football player and he was well over 6'3" tall and weighed approximately 245 pounds. ES would not get out of the truck when they got to Dresser's barn. He was white as a sheet and seemed to be in some sort of shock. Another football player, EN, was shaking so bad he couldn't even zip his own pants. Several of the other football players said they were there when it happened but didn't see anything except ES running back to where the fire was, passing them and locking himself in his truck. Ian jokingly got his spotlight out of his truck to shine it where ES had come from. Ian was holding the spotlight in one hand and trying to make a whiz leap at the same time. Ian said he had seen it, a large hairy animal standing about 20 feet from him. ES and Ian were the only ones who actually see whatever it was, but they were convincing enough that the others that were there jumped in their vehicles and drove to town, which was about 5 miles away. Since we had one of our teachers at the Dresser's barn with us, they came there first after they told us what had happened. We thought they were pulling our legs, but once we seen the faces of ES and Ian, we thought there had to be something to it. So all of us jumped into our car/trucks and headed out to Green Hill Road to see if we could see anything. Since there was a whole line of cars and trucks going out of town at the same time, the local police seen us and called the highway patrol and county deputies. They thought we were up to no good. Once we got to Green Hill Road, several of us had spotlights and were shining out into the woods where ES had been grabbed. We didn't see anything out of place. Then the highway patrol trooper AT at the county deputy HB arrived to try to run us off. They did ask what was going on, so ES and Ian told them that they had seen. After that, highway patrol trooper AT and the deputy sheriff HB went out into the woods to look around. Just a few minutes later, both came back to the waiting group of high school students and told us if we knew what was good for us, we would have got out of there. They nearly confirmed or denied seeing anything. We all left to go back to town. At school the next day, the topic of most conversation was the Green Hill Monster. After school, and guys, there's a long list of initials, so I'm not going to go over that. All returned to Green Hill Road to have a look in the daylight. Found was 3 deer, necks broken and guts ripped out. None of the deer had any bullet holes and were intact except for their guts being ripped out. Nobody mentioned anything. The strange behavior of the law enforcement officers when they came out of the woods, finding 3 dead deer with necks broken the next day. Alright, so the environment on the south side of Green Hill Road is cattle pasture, barbed wire fence on the north side of the road. North side of the road where the incident happened was wooded with a dead-end turnoff where kids used to go to party about 300 yards on eastern Green Hill Road. The roads make a T onto north-south countryside road. Follow-up investigation. The witnesses first thought that the poachers were to blame for the deer kills. The animals were found near the Bigfoot sightings location in an opening with permission patch. However, upon examination, the witness, a hunter himself, determined that the deer had not been shot. He moved the deer to check the bullet holes, and so doing, discovered that the necks had been broken. He and the others looked for tracks, but found none in the surrounding grassy area. The witness is a Vietnam veteran and a state employee. He did not wish for additional information to be shown because he is widely known in the region. In fact, it turned out that we have several acquaintances in common. I'm convinced that this is a highly credible person and believes it's likely that the deer kill stash was connected to the Sasquatch scenes in the previous week. And that is a very scary story, kinda. Personally, what they probably saw was a bear, and we do have bear in Oklahoma, so that does make sense. And you know, they just kind of passed through, but there are bear in this city. Probably does explain what happened to the deer, so it probably just went into a frenzy. It managed to catch one deer, bam, snapped his neck. Managed to get another one, bam, snapped his neck. Managed to get a third one, bam, snapped his neck. And when animals go into that, they just don't stop killing. So that might actually explain why they found the dead deer with no bullet holes, just snapped necks, and their guts ripped out. He probably just went back and started eating what he wanted because he had enough food to kind of do it. But what are your guys' thoughts on the Green Hill Monster? Deer Woman. In honor of Halloween, let us turn our trivial attention towards the crossword road. In Latin, trivia is literally where three roads meet, where myth and reality meet. And speaking of things that go bump in the night, West Virginia may have its Mothman, and New Jersey its Jersey Devil, but Oklahoma's regional boogeyman of choice differs somewhat in that she is female deer woman. Fittingly, deer also appear as physical manifestations of the boundary between worlds in many stories, including C.S. Lewis's Narnia series and Tolkien's Hobbit. Deer Woman can trace her origins to many of the eastern woodlands, central plains, tribes that came to Oklahoma, although her legend extends even into the Pacific Northwest. In traditional cosmology, she is a type of spiritual being distinct from spirits or gods. Among the Cherokee, these beings are called Nanahe, the people who live anywhere, or Ani Yanwat Sandesi, literally little men. And I apologize for my mispronunciation of these words. I am trying my best, but some of them are kind of hard. Their function is similar to that of European fairies, in turn both helpful and devious, but usually their ire serves as punishment for the violation of cultural taboos. There are many variations of her story, describing her as being from Nanahe to witch or normal human origin. In her more beneficent aspect, she is associated with fertility and love, but when crossed has quite a dark side. While the Jersey Devil delights in mischievous chaos and the Mothman serves as an omen, the tragedy Deer Woman operates much more directly, literally with a vengeance. Most commonly, she is depicted as the mortal victim of a savage rape, her body being found in the woods next to a sleeping fawn who lay down beside her so that she would not die alone. Since her attackers went unpunished, the gods, or Nanahe, or sometimes even the deer themselves, grant her wish for justice, whereby she is reborn as a half-human, half-deer. In the guise, she lured her former tormentors out into the woods, unaware of her true nature. When they noticed too late that she had hooves instead of feet, she trampled them to death. Afterwards, she lived on, continuing to punish those who would prey on feminine innocence. According to Ojibwe tradition, she can be banished through tobacco and chant, but in most tales, the only way to save oneself from Deer Woman is to look at her feet, see her hooves, and recognize her for what she is, before she gets you alone. The legend is meant to show that attraction does not a proper pairing make, and that men ignore or usurp the power of women at their own peril. To recognize the truth the story conceals is to save oneself from misfortune. To ignore the moral is to proceed inexorably to the death dance with Deer Woman. And honestly, that is some awesome lore for a cryptid figure, and I don't really know how to debunk that one. Native Americans have a lot of stories about, human-animal hybrid type people, and a lot of times they do represent something like that, like in the description I just gave you guys. If I had to guess, maybe people just saw deer, but more than likely it was the story that got translated into this, and it's just passed down through these legends that you see through these tribes, and later on through like Europeans that came through. And then it just gets kind of convoluted into this thing, and then we have Deer Women. So I don't really know what to describe that to. But if you guys have any thoughts, please let me know down in the towel section down below. And while you're down there, guys, let me know, are you guys from Oklahoma? Did you guys know any of these prior to listening to me talk about them? Other than Bigfoot, I'm pretty sure Oklahoma is like an outstanding $1,000 reward for Bigfoot, which one of these days I hope to capture. Firm evidence, and I'm getting that $1,000 bucks. But While you guys are down in those comments, guys, please remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, follow me on all my social medias, which are going to be listed down below, as well as turn on that notification bell so you never miss another video from me, and follow me on my other socials, which are coming up after this. And I will see you guys next Saturday for Cryptid Saturday. I am trying to branch out into photography. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't get paid on YouTube because I don't have that many subscribers, which you guys could definitely change by hitting that subscribe button. But if you guys would like, I would really appreciate it if y'all could go over to my Instagram as of right now, which is Alex.Boyette1 over on Instagram, and kind of look through all my photos. These are the ones I'm trying to sell. Currently, I've got a few up on Shutterstock, and honestly, I don't really know how Shutterstock works, but I don't think it works the way I thought it worked. But if you guys would like, please let me know if you guys would be willing to actually pay for any of these pictures. Not very much, mind you, and I will set up something on YouTube so I can actually start selling them.